How can a man regarded as the greatest of all time have a legacy tarnished by his own hand?
As impressive as Tom is, he's not important enough yet.
It's a paradoxical saga, a juxtaposed legacy. A man who regards himself as the GOAT, but is determined not to prove it. As another champion is denied the throne, despite being the rightful heir, the erosion of matchmaking principle was occurring before our very eyes.
There's one guy, there's one face, one name. And let's find out who that is.
I'll take you through the Jones-Aspinall paradox. I simply ask that you consider liking the video or subscribing to the channel below.
Who's got the first question? Do you feel in this fight, as you're moving up, that your legacy is on the line at all as the greatest of all time?
What do you guys think? You guys think I'm the greatest of all time or what? I feel like I really don't have anything to prove, but at the same time, I feel like I put in the work. I feel like I deserve a great victory, and that's exactly what I'm going to have, a great victory.
Jon Jones' heavyweight ascension felt like an act that would never come to fruition. Long touted and teased as he played host to a decade of dominance in a lower division, he would finally make that anticipated move up in 2023. A spectacle win, but a double-edged sword. For all the talk of heavyweight factors affecting fight predictions, Jones' elementary performance minutes in provided little answers to the questions on how he would fare on the feet. But with UFC 295 on the horizon, perhaps they would be found. Come a put-together matchup against a legendary heavyweight.
I say it respectfully to Stipe. I would take time off from being a firefighter right now.
This guy is tough.
Stipe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not easy to crack.
He knows he's right hand up top! Oh, he is down! That's it! Stipe is down!
My whole world is going to be focused on him. This is the biggest opportunity in my life to beat the heavyweight GOAT, and I'm going to give it everything I got.
At the time, with no clear challenger, a fairly understandable matchup on name value alone. The greatest of all time against the greatest heavyweight. It was an easy main event for a high-selling pay-per-view. But in a game such as this, nothing is truly ever certain. And the MMA gods would of course make their mark once more.
I shoot in.
10 seconds.
You can hear you. Yeah, right there. I just got off the MRI table, and we're waiting for the results.
I got the results.
What is it?
You're out 6 months to a year. You got to go have surgery.
You're lying.
I swear on my life, full tear.
A chance to see a GOAT make history again, snatched away by the powers above. And as a result, the natural order of things would prevail, an interim belt forged in his absence, leaving two men on short notice to fight for it.
You didn't go on vacation yet, did you? All right, so here's what I got. Jon Jones blew his shoulder. He's going to be out 8 months. You and Sergey Pavlovich are going to be fighting for the interim title, Madison Square Garden.
He can do everything. That guy's got elite jiu-jitsu. He's got elite takedowns. His striking is outstanding. Sergey Pavlovich, that motherfucker, that's the Russian Fedor.
Sergey has finished 6 of his last 6 opponents in the first round.
Pretty scared. Scary guy, mate. Yeah, definitely an intimidating guy. But that being said, fear is something that I have a really good relationship with.
A lot of anxiety, I would imagine, for sports fans.
Here we go, boys. You know what I love about both these two fights? I don't know. No idea. I don't know.
All right, Sergey Pavlovich in red, Tom Aspinall in white. UFC interim heavyweight championship on the line.
Those leg kicks will pay dividends.
Tom Aspinall! That'll do it! Tom Aspinall has done it! He's the UFC interim heavyweight champion of the world!
The Englishman had prevailed, slaying the divisional boogeyman in a fashion unseen. The natural order of events was expected, a title unification between the best young talent and the king of kings. It's the consumer's drive for a specific fight that's a tale as old as time. The innate primal hunger to witness the two greatest going head-to-head in the bid to topple one another's legacy. Fighters are so commonly passed up for the next shiny new toy in this game if they rest on their laurels. And Stipe's decision to not take that interim shot would usually result in the same. But through his adamance, and Jones' own, the bout remains the primary directive. Even as Aspinall lay without a fight, healthy and waiting as the interim king, Jones has his eyes still now firmly set on the man he was once built against. The The greatest heavyweight of all time is a namesake most deserved, but now used as a bargaining chip to justify the matchmaking actions of Dana White.
You know, when you think about the legacy of Jones, the legacy of Stipe, the greatest mixed martial artist of all time versus the greatest heavyweight of all time, after he moves up to heavyweight, it's a fight that had to happen, and no better place for it to happen than Madison Square Garden.
To have Jones face such a man in his prime would be a pay-per-view headliner most worthy, but time has caught up to Stipe since even before John's injury, as it does for every gladiator entering the pit. Power does remain, the trump card at heavyweight as it always has been. Those millisecond reactions ever more delayed, each breath taken ever heavier, all point towards a retirement on the horizon. And the proof lay in the results too. His last fight 4 years ago, dethroned brutally by the Predator Francis Ngannou.
Counter right from the inches. Who is now down and out. Francis Ngannou can finally call himself the greatest heavyweight in the world.
A win on the record lies further back on the MMA tapestry. And now at the age of 42, his brittle bones and compounding ring rust have him deep down to Jon Jones, not as a worthy challenge, but easy prey. A pawn in Dana White's game, used as nothing more than a sacrifice for Jones's coup de grace. But that's a reality Bones will refuse to admit in the public eye, nor Stipe himself.
I don't care about the title, I just want to fight Jon Jones.
That's it?
Yeah, it can be just me and fighting.
That's crazy.
I think you would be the first one to beat him.
You're damn right I would be. Everyone thinks he's going to beat my ass. I don't like being told that. I like shutting people up.
Dana White shares the same sentiment too. For a man innately focused on the dollar, a matchup between American and Englishman is the logical decision in drawing the most eyes. And yet he remains firm on his original stance. Even as fighting tides shift, the division grows stale and the fans grow restless.
Maybe Tom deserves to fight John or deserves to fight Stipe, or maybe that's a better fight.
No.
The community-dubbed glazing campaign has reached a level beyond sincerity. It's perceived as, dare I say, comical. Despite a decade-plus relationship with Bones that is tumultuous as any chance Dana seems to get to discuss his greatness, he will most certainly take.
Jan Blachowicz refractor. Ooh, Jon Jones. That's badass. That is fucking badass. Look at that card.
Jon Jones is absolutely positively the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. Probably the greatest fighter of all time in any sport. You put two guys in a room and who walks out? Jon Jones walks out room every time. Jon Jones is undefeated. He's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. Jon Jones is the greatest of all time. Did I mention to you guys that Jon Jones is the greatest of all time? Did I mention that?
So that leaves a motive as to why. If not for the money to chase another pay-per-view, what motivation is there for the top brass to stay so firm on this matchup? MMA has always been a game of sentiment, bias, and privilege for the chosen few.
I'm gonna be real. You got the attitude. You got Dana White privilege. Tony. Thanks, Dana.
And I'd wager it's the romanticized idea of an undefeated fighting great riding off into the sunset, his legacy immortalized. And for Aspinall, one can only assume that Dana is planning for the future. A great in the making, no doubt, one likely still wrapping the hands for a fight as Jon Jones is long retired. But it's a fight that is regardless justified in the eyes of the interim king. Tom is a man of fighting principle, remaining dedicated to the core tenets of martial arts, honor and respect. There is no trash talk, crude words spat on media day microphones, simply the belief that he is the greatest and deserves to be recognized as such.
I'm not going to have years to fight Jon Jones or Stipe. I want them guys on my resume. You know, we're talking about Jon Jones there, who people say is the greatest fighter of all time. We've got Stipe, who people say is the best heavyweight of all time. I want their names on my resume and I want to be in the win column.
If I've got to defend an interim against a genuine contender, then I should be the one with the fucking undisputed belt.
Like if you Stipe fought,
yeah,
should be undisputed.
Yeah.
The words aren't always enough, and Tom would take the initiative few would by entering the lion's den and taking the front foot, as respectful as ever.
Just say hello. We even had an organic face-off one time that did not go great, and they didn't touch each other. When you watch the body language of Jon Jones, he did not like that entire situation. That's interesting, I think.
To not put together the matchup goes against everything the UFC has stood for. Fighters can claim to be deserving of a title shot, whether there is truth to their statement or not. But for an interim champion to be denied the right to challenge and potentially rule is combat sports heresy. For an undisputed champion to be out this long through injury, vacation of the belt, honorably or forced, is the expected outcome. But Jones has unsurprisingly been granted unlimited leniency. Unlike many in this game, Aspinall is not a man motivated by money either. With his skill set and knockout power, the financial rewards will no doubt come in time. It's instead a case of not wanting to let the opportunity pass him by and become the first man to slay a fighting god. And though these men may seem like the bastions of stoicism, even those as dominant as Jon Jones are no stranger to emotional fracturing. Down within the psyche of Jon Jones, it's not the fear of getting knocked out that scares him, as his impression of Francis Ngannou will tell you.
There's a big chance that he could break my jaw.
Get a matchup with Ngannou. Goes the Reem. Francis Ngannou.
I'm okay with that as a fighter. I've whooped enough ass that if someone eventually gets me, then we all have our day. I'm okay with that.
Tom's 2-minute average fight time puts him in a similar bracket, but Jones's concerns lay elsewhere. It's the idea of having that singular stain on his record. Nearing his fighting end, the clutches of time are beginning to sink into a man even of his talents. He likely has one foot out of the door, and following a fight with Stipe looks to finally put forth the other. Aspinall, on the other hand, is in his ascendancy, hungry to chart his legacy as dominantly as Jones once did. And that mental contrast between the two may be what strikes Jon to the absolute core.
I'm getting up there in age. I only have a few more events left, and I want to give those events my all and make sure that I come back 100%. Stipe and I have both been in the sport for a long time. I don't think Stipe is getting the respect that he deserves. Me and Stipe have unfinished business, and I think that's the only fair thing to do. I'm excited for Tom and his future.
But you never see that happening.
You know, I can't say that. As impressive as Tom is, he's not important enough yet to determine my schedule and my decisions.
Mixed martial arts is appealing due to the fight game's inherent volatility. The end of reigns, beginning of ones anew. Aspinall embraces the concept through his actions in the cage. Whilst Jones continues to challenge that notion, whether he faces backlash or not.
This whole Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall, Dana White situation will not die. Because it's supposed to happen.
Look at it for what it is. He is bowing down to Tom Aspinall.
But is the audience going to believe that he with the belt is the best? Does he get his credit? No. When I tell you there's not a meaningful reason that Jon and Stipe are fighting, you really have to understand that.
The concept of the natural order, as I mentioned. The interim champ given the chance to unify his belt. Dana, Jones, and Miocic had all gone against it. But forcing Tom to defend his belt is a step too far. In the company's esteemed 30-year history, it has only happened a handful of times, usually due to extenuating circumstances. But Tom's rematch against Curtis Blaydes at UFC 304 was built on nothing but bias and greed from the top brass.
First of all, what's going on, Manchester? Woo! The guy's good everywhere, do you know what I mean? I'm not underestimating this guy. This guy's good. This is the fight between the two best heavyweights in the world. Me and this man sitting to my left. This guy's legit.
And Dana, can you confirm the plan is the winner of Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blaydes fights the winner of Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic?
Absolutely.
Combination by down with the right hand, sits it down. Aspinall. Blaydes nearly down and out early. It's it, but it's over. Tom Aspinall.
Aspinall's victory represented not just a redemption over a career low point, but a firm reminder of his finishing pedigree and KO power. The latter Jones could hardly claim to possess. The manner of such a win had the cards now stacked against Jones entirely, with Aspinall on the front foot for fan perception, donning the black and gold and putting on performances such as those that put his highlight reels in the limelight, whilst Jon's meagre heavyweight legacy lay decaying.
Jon's the undisputed champion, but I'm the best in the world. We know what Jon's doing. Jon was there crossing his fingers and toes tonight, hoping that I'd lose to Curtis. Let's not bullshit about it. Like he posted about it loads anyway that I'm going to lose to him. I have nothing against Jon Jones as a person. I think I'm the best heavyweight in the world, and if he thinks he's in the best heavyweight in the world, let's settle it. Simple as that. It's not rocket science. There's two guys who are claiming to be the best heavyweight in the world. Let's settle it. Simple as that.
But even with what had transpired, the truth was that at the very bottom line, one man sat on top with the undisputed namesake, whether he deserved it or not. The only way to coax him out of his plans has historically been to challenge his ego, to hit him where it hurts deep within the soul. To do so, Tom has somewhat channeled the trash-talking persona that so many end up taking, the first steps away from his humble, authentic self.
Jon? Hello, Jon? Jon? There he is, we've got him. Jon! Jon!
It's a sad, ugly truth. Being the nice guy in the UFC rarely bears the fighting fruits, as Jon will tell you. Title shots are given off of star power and storylines, organic or not. From an aura of respect and genuine belief to one of gradually growing resentment, Aspinall has every right to be frustrated as Jon leaves his career on ice.
My next fight has to be for the undisputed. Has to be.
It's well documented that Jon Jones isn't the best person in the world, isn't the best human being in the world. But I ain't going there. I don't want to go there. I don't want to make it personal. It is pissing me off. I don't like to fucking complain because everyone's like, oh, you're crying about this, blah, blah, blah. Mate, there's 6 guys in the top 10 who I finished in the first round. Just let that sink in for a minute. Fucking John's not doing that. He beat one guy, Cyril Gann, who didn't want to be there 2 years ago.
For all of Tom's efforts, there has been some success. The bear has been poked, and Jones's insecurities have leaked onto sporadic Twitter rambles. However, it seems that Jones's matchup with Miocic is inevitable, the result of which in truth is irrelevant. The fallout, however, a different story. In the build to their bout, Dana White has done his best to quell any rumors of a potential retirement, confirming plans to unify the throne. But that decision lay in the hands of Jon Jones, not the boss.
You know, he's talking about retiring, but will he, if the Aspinall thing is really flying out there? I personally think Jon challenges himself and takes the fight, and there is no way in hell that Jon Jones doesn't want to fight Aspinall. So that I guarantee you.
Jones is no doubt expected to win against Miocic as the younger, more skilled fighter, but MMA's unpredictability is innate, and the challenger, even at his age, could well run back the clock. Should the champion succeed, lay the gloves on the canvas and bow out undefeated, the ghosts of Aspinall could haunt him forevermore.
Tell me the story behind Jon Jones and Stipe and why they're fighting. And you are going to sit there with a blank look on your face.
And he'll continue to go completely quiet about me until he retires, because there's no way on earth that he's going to fight me. Not a chance. I will retire Jon Jones without even fighting him.
For Tom, a small chapter in a long career ahead. Unlikely long forgotten should his title defenses rack up, as many expect they will. But with all the talk back and forth, once the dust has finally settled and the gloves lay bloody on the canvas, will any of it even matter? I'm truly not quite sure. Jones in his eyes remains justified in his decisions. To him, the risk of fighting Tom does not outweigh the reward of an undefeated record. But the fans won't forget. They never do. And the time Jones shied away from a true challenge when it lay right in front of him, the greatest of all time, but a legacy ruined by his own hand.